Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Oh my gosh, so you can't see it, which sucks because I don't maybe I can put this down just a teensy bit. I don't know, it doesn't always work. But I am wearing my cowboy shirt right now. This was made for me by Lyric and Blue Co., which she's not doing shirts anymore, but you can find this pattern in a lot of places actually. But we're doing cowboy romance, guys. I hadn't realized that I hadn't done one yet, okay? I apologize profusely. People have been asking me to do one for quite a while, but honestly, I didn't think I'd read this many yet. I mean, I knew I'd read some, obviously, but I didn't want to do one that was all historical romance. Number one, because not a lot of you read historical as much, and a lot of also the cowboy historicals are older ones that are quite problematic in a lot of ways, which, you know, I don't always care, but there's problematic where, like, because times have changed. And then there's also problematic just because the stories are annoying, like not great. You know, there's two different kinds of problematic. It isn't always problematic because of, you know, new like things changing. Well, I don't want to say woke. I don't like using that term, but, and like making that a bad thing or this or whatever. But, you know, it isn't always for, you know, innovation and things or changes in the time. Sometimes they're just bad stories, right? But I've read quite a few cowboy romances in the last couple of years. You know, for a while I was like, oh, well, I only have Elsie Silver to recommend. No, that's not true. I was able to find more than 10 to recommend. All different types, all different kinds, dark romance, contemporary, some that are like almost on the comedic side. Like I have a lot of it. There will be Elsie Silver in here because of course there will be. We'll start off with that, but it's definitely not the only one that I have. So if you love cowboy romance, which is the land of a lot of single dads and some rope to tie you up and some life on the ranch, like it's happening, okay? It's happening. So as I said, we will start with Elsie Silver and we'll go from there. So we of course have the Chestnut Springs, Jiminy Crickets, okay? We have the Chestnut Springs series, and I would be remiss if I didn't show off my absolutely beautiful copy that I got from Hello Lovely Box. Yes, it's gorgeous, okay? It came with this beautiful one. So there's Flawless and Heartless, which are absolutely wonderful, okay? If you've seen the hype for this series, I tell you that at least for me, for the first two and even the third and the fourth one, I find so good. The fifth one got a little repetitive in some aspects, but I still stand by that Heartless was my favorite book of 2022. So I stand by that. But you can start with Flawless and still have a wonderful time here. This one is about a bull rider. This is about Rhett. And he is a bull rider who is a bit of a naughty boy. He's gotten himself in trouble with some sponsors. And so his manager sends in his daughter, Summer, to keep him under wraps a little bit, okay? He's like, you need someone looking out for you because you keep opening your mouth and messing shit up, okay? And so they end up on kind of a road trip / forced proximity / you know, like I'm keeping an eye on you for his like tour of the season of bull riding. He's also struggling with whether he should continue bull riding, like if it's something he wants to do. He's getting old enough to retire, not sure. But we also get to see a look at Chestnut Springs where he grew up. We see him stay with she stays with the family a little bit. We start meeting all his brothers and it's wonderful. I love the family. It's great. As I said, Flawless, Heartless, Powerless, Reckless, they hold up for me for sure. But yeah, this one is, I wouldn't call this enemies to lovers. People list if they're even a little bit grumpy with each other, that's enemies to lovers. But I would more so say like he's annoyed that she's there. So it's kind of like annoyance to lovers would be the best way to. And of course, I'd be absolutely remiss if I didn't talk about Heartless, which again was my favorite book of 2022. And this one is Cade, who is a single dad with an adorable little boy. He's kind of the one running the farm. His brothers, he gets a little grumpy with them. The dad is still alive, but Cade has really taken over the ranch. And he needs someone to take care of his son for the summer, and he hasn't been having luck finding a nanny. And so Summer actually recommends her friend Willa, who wants to take a break from the city for the summer anyway. And so it's going to be perfect. And Cade doesn't have the greatest introduction to her, and he's a bit grumpy and like rude to her, but she's like, yo, I'm here to do you a favor. Stop being a jerk. Okay, this is a pattern that we will see in a few of the other books that I'm going to share because it worked very well for this story and it ends up coming up more than once. But I'm okay with it because I love single dads and I love cowboys and I love all of it. Okay, so I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But yeah, this is Heartless. Also, her new series, Wild Love, well, Wild Love is going to be the first one, I believe is actually about Willa's, I don't know if the whole series will be her brothers, but Willa has brothers, and we're going to get a look at some of them, so I'm excited. Okay, then we have a dark romance series, and this is a series that a lot of people forget that it exists, but I certainly didn't because I fucking love Pam Godwin. So there is the Trails of Sin series, which starts with Knotted, which if you don't know, I'm going to clear this up for you. So Pam Godwin doesn't have her books in KU. This means that she's able to A, have more control, B, not get banned as easily as some people do, because if you're part of KU, it's a lot easier for you to get banned from stuff. She's able to diversify her books. It does mean that you usually have to pay for hers, right? You can't just get it KU. But she has the first book in pretty much all of her series are free. So Knotted is always free. You'll be able to get this for free. So you can read this and see if you like it. So look at that sexy cowboy right there. Okay. So this one, I do have to look up the names because it's been a little bit. There's Jake and there is Connor in this. Jake and Connor? The girl is Connor, I think, in this one. I think so. But anyway, they've been in love with each other and they actually go to have this little rendezvous where they're going to lose their virginity for the first time. And it is awful because they end up like, he ties her up because they're going to be kinky and then they get attacked. And he has already like tied up his girlfriend and then they get attacked and raped and it is awful. And so it leaves her very broken and so she ends up moving away for a long time, and this story is her kind of like coming back and them getting their second chance. So this is dark romance. This is Pam Godwin, so there are all the triggering things you can think of are in here. These are my signed copies I got. So yeah, this one. When this video is going up, I think is actually the day that I will be having my interview with Pam, so definitely come check that out. This is okay, yeah, so then this one is Buckled. This one is about Quinn and Jarrett, and I don't remember what's up with Jarrett in this one. Oh, this one's a journalist. Jarrett's a journalist. Then this one, Booted, this one is about, this one has a Native American heroine, actually, too. Raina and Lorne, and she is actually their dead dad's, or is their dad dead? I think their dad's dead. Or he will be dead. I don't know. But it was their dad's girlfriend. And he actually went to prison. And now, like, their interaction's very interesting. I don't want to, like, spoil anything. But anyway, this is a series by Pam Godwin. If you haven't heard of it or seen it, definitely check it out. Again, Knotted is free. The audiobooks are available too. They're great. Definitely check those out. But yeah, Pam has dark cowboys. So if you haven't read them, what have you been doing with your life, right? What have you been doing? All right, then let's continue with the ones that are obviously obvious and we'll get into other ones. So of course, we have to do Broken Vow. This one's another, like, this is a dark adjacent book. You know, the Brutal Birthright series isn't super dark, but this is a mafia princess. She wouldn't call herself a princess, but she is. It's the mafia princess who someone's out to kill her. And it's not actually anything that has to do with the mafia, but there's someone out to kill her. And so we have Raylan, who gets assigned to basically be her bodyguard. And at first she's giving him a lot of shit. She's trying to keep him away from her. He's an ex-military guy. He has a family down in Tennessee that are all cowboys. It's amazing. And he ends up taking her to the ranch to protect her while he's keeping her safe. So this one is just great. It's like city girl in the country style, and he brings her there because he knows that he can keep her safe there, whereas in the city there's just so many different things that can get to her. And when she almost gets burned out, well, she does, she gets burned out of her penthouse, he's like, that's it, I'm not fucking around anymore, and he takes her home to Tennessee to keep her safe. So let me see if I can find a good, I have the illustrated version. It's like, oh, see, they're dancing. It's great. I love it. Love it so much. Okay. Then we have one that I recently read, and I like this so much. I cannot wait for the next book in this series. I am hyped. Okay. I'm hyped. So there was Wild for You by Kristen Proby. So this one is a single dad and a nanny romance, right? I told you that's going to come back around again. I think it will maybe even one more time come around. I'm not sure, but it at least came around for this time. And this one, she is actually staying in this town to just kind of like get out of the city and be on her own for a while. Her family is very wealthy. Her story actually connects with other books by Kristen Proby. I think her dad was a hockey player. I think he was a hockey player. I'm not sure. I haven't read that one. But she is taking a break from all that and living in this small town. And she ends up needing a second job. We won't go into all of it. And one of the women she works with at the coffee shop she's working at is the brother. And I think Remy is his name. Yeah, his name is Remy. And he has 2 children. He's a widower. And he also runs the family cattle ranch. And she gets hired to be the nanny. And he's really resistant at first because she's super hot and he doesn't want her living in his space because he's going to fall for her. And of course he does. And there is someone that is also stalking her. So when that happens, he's like, I will protect you with my life. And it's super hot and we love it. And you definitely should read this if you like Heartless or you like the Cowboys or any of that. And the next one, Chasing Wild, I think is what it's going to be. That one's coming in May, and I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be good. Okay, then we have to share Sugarland Creek, which is currently one of my obsessions. I love, there's gonna be 6 books in this series, plus there is the little start. So the first book here is Come With Me, which I know not everyone cares for, but I like it. I liked Come With Me quite a bit. And this one is actually about one of the guys who works for the family, and it's his second chance romance. So you can get this novella here. This one, they have, this one's in Sugarland Creek, Tennessee, and we have our hero, Aiden, and then Lainey was his high school sweetheart, and he actually ran away from home soon after graduation because he had a very abusive father, okay, very abusive father, so he ran away from home. And when he ran away from home, he tried to get his girlfriend to leave with him. He tried to get Lainey to come with him, and she couldn't, and he said, if I leave, like, I have to disconnect. I can't stay connected to anyone in my hometown because then my dad will find me. And, like, it was imperative that he get away from his dad. And she's like, I can't leave my mom. I can't leave. And so he leaves, and he doesn't leave a way for her to contact him. And when she finds out she's pregnant, there's nothing she can do until, I believe it's 10 years later. 10 years later. She stumbles across this, like, we'll just call it like a TikTok video where he happens to be in it. And there's the Sugarland Creek Resorts, which I think, does it have the map in this one? Yeah, it does. There's this resort that is what the family runs, and he's one of the men who works there. And he happens to be in one of their, like, a bachelorette video that someone filmed because someone came there, and, like, usually one of the family members runs that event, but he had to run it that day, and so he's in this video. And she sees it, and she's like, it's meant to be. So what I love about this, right, you guys know that secret babies are tough for me. However, he's the one who left. And number 2, she literally couldn't find him anywhere. And as soon as she discovers him, which granted, it's a decade later, but as soon as she finds him, she is reaching out to him to tell him about their daughter. And I love that. And then once they do, he's like, come live with my family. Like, this work is my family now. So it's a little novella. There is an audio available for this one too. When she was promoting the start of the series, it was free. I don't know that it's free anymore. But yeah, there was Come With Me, which was great. Then there's the one that we all went gaga for. This is Here For Me by Brooke. I don't need to say her name every time. But this one is an ex-boyfriend's dad. Let me see if I find the sexy picture in this one. I don't know if I can. But this one was super hot, super fun. And this one is Noah, who is the youngest daughter of the Harless family. And then there is also Fisher, who becomes the new farrier. And he's actually moved back to town because his son, he wants to be closer to his son. And that son is Noah's ex-boyfriend. And he happens to want to get back together with Noah, even though she's not interested in that. He kind of is giving her a tough time with that, for sure. But they have a forbidden romance. It's a workplace romance. He's an ex-bull rider, so we have that, or bronc rider. So we have that part of it. And yeah, it's a forbidden romance between the two of them. And then there is Stay With Me, which actually just came out, and the audiobook is just coming out soon too. I actually have listened to the audiobook already. I had an advanced listener copy of that, so definitely check that out. But this is Trip and Magnolia. So Magnolia is the best friend of Noah. So this is a best friend's brother, and she's actually been into him for a long time. He's been into her, but she's had an on-again, off-again boyfriend who's a total douche, and she ends up getting pregnant by him before, like, she's already broken up with him, but she has a one-night hookup with him again, and she gets pregnant. And just as things are starting to happen with Trip, she finds out she's pregnant, and it puts a wrench in the plans. So, but they're all cowboys. It's all wonderful. You should definitely check that series out. It's available in KU if you don't want the audiobooks. Okay, then we have a series that has just gotten started. This is his debut book by an author. I just read it last week, and I thought it was amazing, okay? So this one is another Canadian cowboy situation. Elsie Silver's books are Canadian too. There is Alive in Wells, and this is the Wells Ranch series. Now, this is by Bailey Hanna, and this one is a woman who is on the run. She has an abusive husband, and in the beginning, we do actually see her being abused a little bit and making a run for it. Okay, so she's making a run for it in the beginning of this book. Now, she has been in contact with this woman who works on a ranch, and she's been offered a job there. If she will run, if she can get away from her husband, there will be a job and a place to live waiting for her. So in the beginning of this book, her husband finally goes too far, and she makes a run for it. And she has nothing but literally the clothes on her back and her go bag, and she leaves like in her pajamas. She makes a run for it, and she doesn't even know fully how to get where she's going because her husband has ruined her phone, which had the directions. She has no way to like contact anyone until she gets to a payphone. But she makes her way to Wells Ranch, and she gets a job there helping this woman like do the cooking and the laundry and like the cleaning and all this stuff for the ranch hands. But the owner of this ranch is the oldest brother of the family, and he just doesn't trust her. He doesn't like having a slitty slicker there, but a lot of it is he thinks she's too pretty. Now, he doesn't know why she's there because the woman who like hired her is kind of the main like help at the place, is like his surrogate mother. Both the mother of the family is dead. The father has like abandoned them and everything, so the oldest son runs the ranch. And he doesn't know why she's there because the heroine is keeping that private in the beginning. So she definitely does have to kind of win him over. I really liked this one. It was very authentic cowboy things to it. Moving along, now we have a couple historical ones. So we have, of course, Eyes of Silver, Eyes of Gold. This is by Ellen O'Connell. This is not the cover. I know, I'm sorry. It's not the cover. This was done for me by Mel, made a new cover for the book for me. But yeah, the original cover is pretty ugly. But this one is a historical, and our heroine, wow, her name just went out of my head and I hate myself. Anne. It's Anne and Cord. And so Cord is an outlaw. Anne is a spinster. Her father's trying to force her to get married. She's running away. She ends up at Cord's house. He is a horse trainer and has his own little farm. He is also half Native American, and he's very much like despised by people for that. Like there's a lot of racism. It's bad. But they actually knew each other from school, and they were friendly. They weren't like friends, but like they didn't hate each other or whatever. And he's always thought she was really beautiful, and she is hiding in his barn, and he like brings her in and is like, tell me what's going on. And she's trying to run away, and he's like, let me help you, but you're going to spend the night here first, and like, I'll help you out. Well, before anything else can happen, her dad shows up with a posse. They beat the ever-loving hell out of both of them, but almost kill Cord. They do this mock marriage ceremony where they like marry and a Cord, and then are like, you're going to be a widow by morning, and then I'm going to come back and you're going to beg for forgiveness. It makes no sense. Her father is a psychopath, but Anne is so just like she's upset by this, but she's also pissed. And Cord isn't dead, of course. That'd be a very short ending to this. And so she actually nurses him back to life and protects him against other people trying to show up. She pulls a gun on people when they try to take her. But for some reason, her family spreads the rumors that Cord is the one who hurt her. And so not only are they trying to heal and now honestly like start their life together, she's like, I'm going to stay here. They have to convince people that he's not the one who abused her. Like it's messed up, but I adore this couple. This was one of my favorite books, I think, from like 2019, 2020. I loved it. Don't let the original cover scare you away. I love Cord and Anne. And this is a really beautiful romance, but these two, man, they have to deal with so many challenges and racism and disparagement, but it makes their love like that much further. And now if you want a hero too who is so like worshipful of his wife and like doesn't understand how such a beauty would be with him, this is the one for you, y'all. It's great. Okay, I'll also share with you Poppies and Silk from Tanya Fisher. This is book 2 in the Texas in Bloom series, and it's the one that I own. The first one is Letters to Dogwood, also a cowboy romance. Definitely check it out. But Poppies and Silk, this one is about Poppy Daniels, who is a widowed seamstress, and she moves to Dogwood. She had actually been there when she was young. Her mother was actually a prostitute, and at one point her mother tried to sell her to pay off a debt, and she refused to be sold, and so her mother was actually killed. So when she was young, she ended up, I think she was 16 when this happened. She met this reverend and his wife, and they actually had a son as well. And she ends up becoming a companion to the wife, who's pretty sick. And then when the son actually comes home, she ends up married to him. And at the beginning of this story, both Poppy's mother-in-law and her husband have died pretty close together. So her father-in-law, who's the reverend, he's a very nice man, but he's, you know, not planning to stick around. So they actually split the like inheritance and the money from the sale of their house, and she takes her skills as a seamstress and that money and goes to Dogwood because she has a friend there from when they were young who they're going to like do business together with, you know, doing clothes and things like that. And when she moves to this town, she meets Sol Williams, who is actually a ranch hand for the hero in the first book. And he's not looking for love, but he thinks that Poppy is beautiful. And so they actually begin kind of like this casual dating thing. And very quickly, Sol is like, I actually think you're the one for me. Now, she sees herself as kind of like not good enough for him. So there's a lot of her not believing she's good enough for him. Now, there is also a darker side. I would consider this one a bit of a darker historical. I mean, honestly, both of these ones have very dark aspects to them. But this one involves, there is a like sex trafficking ring that's happening on the west in the country out here too. So be aware of that. And there are some bad guys we have to fight along the way. But I really love this series. There's another one coming soon. And I'm so excited. This author, Letters to Dogwood was her debut. She has been criminally underappreciated, okay? If you love old school, like Westerns or historicals, but you'd like it to be written just a little like more to the times, like this series is so good. So go get yourself Letters to Dogwood, or you can start with this one. It doesn't matter, but I think once you read this one, you might want to read Letters to Dogwood, but definitely check out this series. I think the next one's Trail of Sunflowers, if I'm correct. I think Trail of Sunflowers is going to be the next one. Okay, then we have one that's a bit of an unconventional, cowboy romance, but I have to include it. We have Sweet Like Poison by J. Wolfe. Now, I love how much attention Julia Wolfe, aka J. Wolfe, is getting. I recently did a whole deep dive on her. I would love to have her on the channel. Julia, if you see this, please let me interview you. I love you so dearly. She's had some of my favorite books in recent years. Like, one of her books was my favorite book of 2023. I love it. But this was one of my favorite books of 2022. So This one is actually about Elena, so this takes place at a college, right? However, our hero, he's a cowboy. And he's there going to school at the school where I think both of his parents went to this college. And his family ranches in Wyoming. And he's actually there getting like a business degree. And then he's going to be going back to Wyoming. So the years that he's at this school, he's not looking for anything serious because he has seen how that played out in his family, in his parents' marriage, and how it destroyed them to have them split between Wyoming and California. He just doesn't want that for his life. So he hasn't had more than flings before. But then we have Elena, who's actually his neighbor, and what he doesn't know, his landlord. And she has been seen as kind of the bitch, the queen bee. Sometimes she's almost a bit like villainous, not completely, but Elena, she has her own secret pains and everything. And she just is super sassy, and Locke thinks that he has her number. He thinks he knows what kind of woman that she is. But he doesn't know her well at all, actually. But it happens to be that she's doing some work on her house because the men who were supposed to do her deck were being very, like, rude to her, so she fired them. And Locke hears her trying to build a deck, and he's like, dear God, woman, you're gonna hurt yourself and you're keeping me awake all the time. So the friends are actually away on like a camping trip. So because this is third book in the series, their friends are already like dating and things like that. And they end up having a hookup. Now when they have this hookup, she's able to orgasm, and she hasn't been able to orgasm since she was raped a few years ago. She hasn't been able to find that pleasure with a man, but she's so attracted to Locke, and they have this hot, it's not a hate fuck, but it's a like, we're both just in this for the fun of it, and he's able to like get her off without her even really thinking about it. And so they leave this sexual encounter with him being like, ooh, I just, maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to have this like one night stand with her. And she's just like, oh my God, he made me orgasm. What the hell? So she definitely wants to keep hooking up with him. So they hook up for this weekend that their friends are gone. And when their friends are coming back, Locke is like, hey, I don't want anyone to know about this. Like, I don't plan for this to be serious. I'm not going to be serious about anyone. So, like, that was it. And she's like, oh, okay. That's all you wanted from me? Like, okay. And so she just tries to accept it. But then they can't stay away from each other. So we definitely you see more of the cowboy aspect than what I'm expecting. Like you'll learn more about those parts of it, but he definitely acts like he's a blue collar man. Even if his family has money, like he's a blue collar man down to his soul. He's very like thoughtful and thinks things through. That doesn't mean he doesn't fuck up sometimes, because he definitely, as I said, he doesn't get Elena until he gets Elena, and then he realizes the type of woman that he's dealing with and that he better step it up, because if he misses out on Elena, he's missing out on perfection. So I love this. Also, if you read this and then you read her Boss series that she has, his little sister is the heroine of one of those books, and we get a peek at them like 10 years down the road, okay? You don't want to miss out on it, okay? I'm just saying. This is the book in 2022 that gave me Yellowstone vibes, even though it's like a college romance. If you've seen it, you'll know. The Beth and Rip vibes are in this book, okay? They're there. Okay, then I will talk a bit quicker about these last few here. So, there's this one. I actually just got this for my birthday. I can't remember who sent me this one. Uh-oh. Who sent me this one? I don't have the list anymore. But, someone sent me this for my birthday. I'm sorry. I have it with the other books, but I don't know where it is. So, Rein Me In. This is by Kayla Gross. I can't wait for the next book in this series. I'm dying. But we have Blake and Gavin. And Blake, she has come back home to she's been gone for the last 5 years. But 5 years ago, her brother died, and she has kind of just stayed away from home since then. But her mother is injured, so she comes back to help her dad on the ranch. And then there's Gavin Montgomery, who was best friends with her brother. Now, his dad died 9 months ago, and the family is in some financial struggles, and he's really been carrying the weight of all of that. Now, when he sees Blake again, she's actually was like the older sister to the brother, and so Gavin is actually younger than her, not by a ton, but this is an older woman romance, and he was like into her when he was a teenager, and like she was his friend's older sister. And so she is a like plus size heroine. She's a curvy lady. She actually was in the rodeo as well, which is cool. She was I think she was, I can't remember what sport she did, but she was actually like in that. So she's a bit of a small town celebrity sometimes too, which is cool. So yeah, this is she's not planning to stick around. So, when there's some feelings, and also like Gavin makes her think of her brother a lot, and she's not want to do that all the time. So there's just a lot of like layers to this, but I really loved this relationship. I actually read this book while I was on my way to Montana. My dad and I went on a mini road trip like last summer. And so it was really fun to read this while we were like on our way there. So this was a great one. And there's another book coming in the series soon. It's coming this year. Okay, 2 other ones I'm just going to mention quickly, as I said. So there is Burned by Ivy Jackson. I think this one is the single dad. And I don't think she becomes a nanny, but it's a single dad romance. And then there's also another one in the series, but she's put the series on hold for now, but these were good. I liked these. And then there is the Resting Warrior Ranch series, which takes place in Montana. So Montana Sanctuary is the first book by Josie Jade. And this series includes these ex-military men who have started this ranch that people can work with horses there. They can tend to the land, and they can kind of heal from psychological wounds they might have. And they're all different ex-military men and everything like that. So the first one starts with a woman on the run who is running away from a psycho ex who is a billionaire and has been trying to control her ever since they broke up, type of guy. And yeah, once she has like escaped him, he keeps finding her. And so she ends up at Resting Warrior Ranch and meeting the owner and is looking for a job there. Well, that job isn't available anymore, but he does get her job at a coffee shop in town and offers her a cabin to stay in on the ranch. So she gets involved in the stuff that way, although she does have her psycho ex who is stalking her. But now she's involved with the men at Resting Warrior Ranch, and they're not going to let anything happen to the people they care about. They have a very special set of skills and guns and things like that. So, okay, there you go. There is a long list of cowboy romances. So I can finally put a stamp in it that I made a cowboy romance video. I can't believe it took me so long. Let me know some of your favorites. I know this is not extensive. Again, I didn't do all the historicals I could have done. And there are also some other ones that I've read that like just weren't my favorite, or I didn't quite like how they went. But yeah, those are my recommendations. So thank you so much for watching. I'll have links to all of those down below. If you use my affiliate link, it does help out the channel. I have links to my Patreon. I do make videos full time. So if there's any way you want to support me there, it helps me out as well. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye.